this is Frode, and welcome to this short little video where I will show you the five of the books that have been most impactful on my life out of about 100 that I've been reading over these last 2 years, since I really started reading personal development books aggressively. So I got this question from The Truth Ruth, who asked me in the comments on another video if I could create a short video of the 3 to 5 books that have been most impactful on my life. And in this video I'll show you those books. So I have 5 of them, and I'll explain a quick summary of what the book is about and how it's impacted my life. Perhaps you can get some good tips for what you can do yourself, or some thoughts. So the first book is Deep Work by the computer scientist, or I think it's the computer scientist professor, Cal Newport. At least he's a really great author. And here is the subtitle: Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. So the main premise of the book is that if you want to do really valuable work in this world, you have to do deep work, where you are absolutely focused on one single task in front of you and not responding to emails and text messages from your friends and phone calls while you're doing your work. You can of course do that outside of your work blocks, but while you're doing work, you're only doing work. And that's what deep work is. Shallow work is the opposite. It's not as valuable, and it's the kind that everyone can kind of be able to do, because you're not really pushing the limits of your abilities enough that what you'll be able to do eventually with deep work is something that other people can't. But when you're doing shallow work, you're kind of staying at the same level that everyone can do. So that's more distracted when you're receiving text messages, emails, phone calls, and for example watching TV while you're doing your work. So the way that this has impacted my life is that before, I used to let my phone be on. I don't think I used television, but what I noticed when I started just turning the phone completely off and being absolutely focused on my work was that I was much more able to study and finish my studies much earlier. I was much more able to enjoy what I was doing, because my mind didn't just zone off and do something else all the time, but I was actually able to understand and kind of jump into the world of what I was doing. So it's something I do every day, all the time. Whenever I'm doing a deep work time block, as I call it, of 45 to 90 minutes, I just turn off my phone and everything else, so I won't be caught off in my work. And yeah, so that's the basic idea. And can you see any ways that you can start doing more deep work? Are you willing to do it? And even though you might hear that, but I have to be able to respond immediately, because what will they say if I don't? It's like you have to go around watering your friendships or the relationship to your boss if so they won't. What's the name? I'm Norwegian, by the way, so it's sometimes a bit hard to find the English words. So yeah, kind of. When we think we need to respond immediately to everything, it's like we need to water our relationships in order for them not to leave us. But you can ask yourself if that's really the case, or if you're just afraid of their rejection. It's just a hint. Not telling you to do anything here, but just consider it. And the next book is How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael Gelb. Subtitle: 7 Steps to Genius Every Day. And very shortly, this is a book where Michael Gelb, a really creative, he helps other people unleash their creativity, has read through the thousands and thousands of pages from Leonardo da Vinci, the painter, sculptor, botanist, engineer, mechanic. He has read through his notebooks several times and written a book featuring the 7 principles that helped Leonardo unleash his creativity in that way. And I'll just tell you them really quickly. The ones he found. They are curiosity, wanting to learn. Dimostrazione, learning through experience and really doing things. that you're thinking about. Sensazione, developing your senses of seeing, hearing, and feeling, tasting and smelling the world, is really the only way we can actually learn something. Sfumato, being able to see the paradoxes in the world and actually enjoy that ambiguity of not being quite sure what's right and what's wrong to do, or what's right and what's wrong in general. Arte, scienza, meaning combining art and science and art to become more creative, because you can see more connections, which is related to another principle, connessione, realizing that everything in the world is connected to everything else. For example, history. Within history, it's basically everything that's ever happened. Within culture, it's everything that happens in human relationships. Within psychology, it's everything about how our mind works and how we respond to reality. So everything is connected. Then we have corporalita. It means grace, ambidextrity. For example, doing things with equally well with both hands. So that's how to think like Leonardo da Vinci. And for me, Leonardo has been one of the most inspiring role models that I've had and continue to have and think about and try to emulate. Because he really showed this childlike spirit of wanting to learn everything there was to know and be able to think for himself and try to experiment with what can be truly useful in the world. So I've also read his biography, immensely inspiring, by Walter Isaacson. So but he's really the embodiment of creativity and the Renaissance man, who are good at a lot of different things. So next book is related. It's the Mind Map book by Tony Buzan. And subtitled, How to Use Radiant Thinking to Maximize Your Brain's Untapped Potential. Mind mapping, you might have heard about it. You might have tried it in your class. You might not have liked it when the teacher said, now we're going to mind map. And you didn't know what to do, or you couldn't come up with ideas that the teacher could draw on the board. At least that's what I experienced. But what I later realized was the immense power that mind mapping has on our brain's ability to think and remember things and see connections. Because very quickly, mind mapping is done through this principle. You go from the very general categories to the more specific. So start in the center of the page, for example, with the word history. Then you go a little bit more specific to history or ancient history, a little bit more specific, history of ancient Greece, more specific, history of Socrates' life in ancient Greece. And in that way, your mind can see much more connections when you start developing this mind map if you start creating those links. And through mind mapping, you're not supposed to use a lot of words. It's just one word per branch that you're lining out from your other branches that are connected. And it's insane how when you start mind mapping, your mind just unlocks itself. And it starts thinking about all of these creative ideas. And that's one of the things that have inspired me the most, to really categorize all of the things that I learn in a way that I'll be able to look back to it and find that knowledge in 10 years. I can just come back to what I was doing now and use what I learned now in something that I might create later, a course or something. So mind mapping, it's about also unlocking your brain's creativity and really connecting the left's logical, list making, number making, writing brain with the left brain, writing brain with the right brain, which is more intuitive and imaginative, creating pictures and visuals and colors and all of that. So it's been really impactful on me, and I use mind mapping all the time for almost everything I do. Okay, next book is Eat Fat, Get Thin by Dr. Mark Hyman. Subtitle, Why the Fat We Eat is the Key to Sustained Weight Loss and Vibrant Health. Main premise of the book is that as opposed to what many people have believed throughout these last 50 years or so, that fat is bad for us and actually makes us fat, since it's logical, right? That when you eat fat, it must be fat on your body. he says that it's not the case. It's just been faulty science and research that has proven that. And he says instead that if you eat fat, you can get thin. And you can get much more radiant, alive, and energized than you have ever been before while eating a lot of carbs and sugar and flour. So I'm not going to try push anything on you right here, but I'll just want to say that it's been one of the most impactful books on my life, because before, when I ate, I used to eat a lot of oatmeal or perhaps pasta a few times and a lot of bread, and I felt this energy and this clarity of my thinking just went down, and I felt much more tired after eating a meal than I do now. And that's about how your blood sugar spikes when you eat a lot of sugar or carbs. But when you eat a lot of fat instead, then it doesn't spike in the same way, and it keeps much more stable. So I'm much more energized and feel a lot better all the time. So it's something you can consider. Eat Fat, Get Thin by Dr. Mark Hyman. And it's really astonishing, all the different facts that show us how fat is good for us. And it's not creating heart disease or cancer and all these bad things. That's what the science says, at least. So the next big idea is, big idea. I did a lot of book reviews that I will start doing again. So use the next big idea. But next book that has impacted my life is Socrates by Paul Johnson. Subtitle, A Man for Our Times. So you might feel a smidge of rejection, right, or resistance in yourself right now. Oh, Socrates is such a boring man. Oh my God, is that ancient, old philosopher with long beard and nothing good to say that's actually practical. Then I want to say the opposite. I saw that the storage on my iPad ran out, so I couldn't shoot any more videos. But let's just complete this 5 books video. So as I said, Socrates wasn't this boring old man with a long beard. He might have had a long beard, but he was actually a practical man. His sole purpose was to become good and to help other people become good. Through questioning their beliefs and values about what was objectively true, for example, about what courage is, what virtue is, what happiness is, how to become happy. And a short equation there is virtue equals happiness. Or knowledge equals virtue equals happiness. And he helps people come to the knowledge of what's actually true when he keeps questioning them and refuting their questions that seem to be wrong, and according to a lot of methods and such, until they finally come down to the truth. So that's a quick look at 5 of the books that I have that have impacted my life the most. By the way, this Socrates, I didn't tell you that one. He has impacted me by wanting to not only share and push ideas on you, and but instead start asking more questions to open up your mind for what might be true instead of trying to push it on you. So that's a quick look at 5 of my favorite books. I hope you liked it, and if you want to tell me if there's something that you want to ask me or tell me, just feel free to do so in the comment section, and I'll follow up with you there. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.